One more time. Can you lift your hands to him tonight? Sing hallelujah. Just worship him, praise him, extol him, exalt him, bring him words tonight. Let it come from your heart. One more time.
Okay, blessed evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the last day of No Conference 2023. It indeed has been an amazing week for us since we started. If you are here with me, I'd like to see your comments. I'd like to see your emojis letting us know that you are here now with us. Welcome. My name is Stella Chichi Oboko, and I will be your host for this session. I want to say a big thank you to ATQ and 360 Connect community for letting me be your host. God bless you all. You are welcome. So I'd like to see your comment. What has it been for you since we started? What has it been for you since we started, since No Conference started? What has it been for you? Anyone here? For me, it's been amazing. I've learned a lot, a whole lot. Yesterday evening, we had our tech section. Indeed, that session was techy. If you were not in that session, please, and you are raising children, I want to plead with you to go and watch that session. If you missed that session, please take time to watch our session with Charles Onah. He really took his time to explain things about technology to us. I want to read out some of the things I got from his session yesterday. I want to read out some of my take-home points from his session yesterday. He said, do not train your children with your ignorance. Go get some knowledge and then guide them. Some of them have greater vision than we who are their parents. I got that. You can't train your child with ignorance. You can't. It says it is your responsibility to understand your word and help your word to thrive in the tech space. You must teach your children how to create personal values for himself or herself. They must not allow other people's opinion or achievements to get them off their track. So much value gotten. Once a child is self-confident, a major personal identity has been established. Yesterday evening was amazing. So much to take home, so much to learn. Before him, we had Ade Jones who talked to us about discipline, the biblical perspective. It was a good time. We had a lot to discuss about discipline. Some of the things he said was retribution does not teach. Retribution does not teach. Retribution only makes a child fear. It doesn't prepare a child for better instruction. It conditions the child to act carefully around your presence. Then he said again, discipline means I should inform, guide, and teach. He said, discipline is not punishment. Wow. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not retribution. Discipline is to elicit compliance through love, trust, and respect. That session was powerful also. And then in the morning, I also got some things from the morning session, which was with Reverend Stella Cosme Ileloge. And then she said a few things. Said a mother is meant to be a loving, strong pillar of the house. There's a particular one that stood out for me that I want to read that one. She says, without structure, a climbing plant will become a crawling plant. We need to be strong as parents. She said, godly parenting will produce godly results. It's been an amazing back-to-back session for us. I don't know about you. If you're here, I'd like to see your comments. I'd like to see your emoji letting us know that we are not here alone. Good news, our speaker is already here with us. Yes, our speaker is already here with us. Okay, so this is brought to you by ATQ. What is ATQ? ATQ means answering tough questions from children and teens. ATQ is a growing community of parents, caregivers, trusted and safe adults. What do we do here? We answer questions, tough questions that children are asking. Our children are questioning a lot of things, and we must provide them with the right and appropriate answers to their questions. That's what we do there. And then we want to ask you to please join our community. We don't just answer those questions. We also equip parents, carers, adults, trusted. As long as you have a child in your life, you need to be in our community. What do we do for ourselves? We help empower ourselves with the right knowledge and best ways to answer the questions our children are asking. Please, immediately you see the link. If you are not in the group already, please click on our WhatsApp group to join, or click on our Facebook group to join our community. Some of the activities we have there, we have our monthly webinar where we pick up topics where we may have difficulties handling, answering tough questions, and having meaningful conversations with our children. We pick up such topics and we look at it. Also, we have our monthly book reading. Yes, we read. On ATQ, we read because we believe that through reading, you can gain knowledge. That's even one of the fastest ways to be knowledgeable. And then every month we have our book reviews, and we have many other activities that happens on our community. I want to ask you to please click on the link when you see it and join our community. Yes, ATQ clocked 2 on Thursday, and it's been an amazing 2 years for us. Now, a lot of people have sent in their testimonies, their written testimonies, but we want to take one video testimony to show you what God is doing in our midst. Thank you. Please, our video.
Hello there. My name is Barrister Adana Egu Samuel. I'm a member of the ATQ family, answering tough questions. I joined ATQ 2021. I think when it started, when it was at the beginning stage of ATQ. And I must say that ATQ has been very impactful in my parenting journey. One of such activities that impacted my life would be the one book a month all through the year. For the first time in my journey as a parent, I was able to read one book a month from January to December, courtesy of ATQ. And not just any book. I don't know. Coach Stella selects the best of books in this parenting journey. In fact, I cannot say here the impact all of the books made in my life. The book on temperament, knowing the love language of your children, and raising girls, raising boys. I think there was one that's on raising positive children. In fact, it really helped me. That book opened my eyes to know how to speak positively into my children. When I speak to them, I don't speak to them according to the circumstance. I speak to them according to what I want, positivity. And also the book on inculcating saving as a finances for children. I can't remember the topic of that book. It really helps me a lot. It taught my children how to save, because after that book of that month, and after I'd read it, I taught my children. We had the save envelope, the give envelope, the save, spend, and give envelope, because of what I learned from that book. I think that book was written by Dave Ramsey or so. In fact, all the books made a lot of sense from 2020 all through 2023, 2022, and now 2023. We are still reading. In fact, I want to say thank you, Coach Stella, for rekindling that reading culture in me and helping me to know that in this journey, this parenting journey, I cannot do it without knowledge, without getting enough knowledge. Ignorance is no longer bliss. And also, one impact that I would say that ATQ has made in my parenting journey is the How We Do It session that happens, I think, second Sundays, or either second or third Sundays. The rich content that is given in that session every month. In fact, I don't know. It has really, ATQ is one platform that I know has affected my parenting journey positively. Then on the WhatsApp group, the questions, when any question, there's no question that is too trivial to respond to. Every question is accorded importance, because you never know. From some of the questions, I've been able to learn that even when my children ask such questions, I now know what to respond, because such questions are treated on the platform. I want to say, Costella, thank you so much. If you're not in ATQ,
all right, you heard it all. Ignorance is no longer bliss. Yeah, ignorance is no longer bliss. Oh, so you need to connect to where you can learn. You need to connect to where you can share experience. You need to connect to where you can get help, and you need to connect to where you can grow. You can develop more in knowledge. All right. Today, this afternoon, we will be looking at the topic raising children who thrive in academics. And our speaker today is going to be Mrs. Temitayo Ibikunle. Yes, our speaker is already here with us. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this session. But just before she comes on, I want to ask you for just two favors. One, if you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please subscribe now. Click on that subscribe button immediately and subscribe. We're a growing community, so grow with us. Click on that subscribe button, and then if you're on Facebook watching us on the Facebook page, please like and follow us. Also, click on the thumbs up button on Facebook. And then secondly, I want to plead with you, don't be selfish. Don't listen to this alone. Please don't watch this alone. Click on the share button. Begin to share. Share to your friends, share to your communities, share to everywhere, so that people can come join us and learn this evening. Like I said earlier, our speaker is already in the house. But just before she takes all over, let's meet our speaker. Let's have her profile. Thank you.
Mrs. Temitayo Ibikunle. Mrs. Temitayo Ibikunle is an educator, author, visual artist, and a Christian content creator. Mrs. Temitayo Ibikunle is an educator par excellence, given to raising confident and smart children, raising other educators who are passionate, driven, and understand the importance of their role in the education space, and in creating a better future by the quality of children they help to raise. She is the director of Thriving Treasure Schools Gariki, a thriving nursery and primary school in the heart of Abuja, where she has led a dynamic team for over a decade, raising confident children with academic excellence and sound moral values. The author of the book, If This Isn't Love, What Is? A fiction that deals with the themes handling teenage crushes, peer pressure, and the role of parenting in managing teenage issues. A passionate parent who uses her experience with God's Word, other parents, and her children to help other parents heal through their personal journey and raise great children for the next generation. Please, welcome Temitayo Ibikunle as she speaks on the topic, raising children who thrive in academics.
All right, you're welcome, ma'am. Good to see you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So you have the floor, ma. Take over. Thank you. We can't hear you. No. Not yet.
More music at kingdomboys.com.
He who comes to God must know that He is, and is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. We know You are a rewarder of those who diligently seek Your face. All power is in Your hands. With You, nothing is impossible to do. Everybody say, of those say all power.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, clearly.
And we
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
So over to you. Have the next 45
Okay.
minutes, ma'am.
somebody say it one more time. Say we
Good afternoon,
know.
everybody. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited to be here. I'd like to start by saying a very big thank you to Coach Stella and the ATQ family. The ATQ community, as she has introduced earlier on, is a fantastic one. I'm a member of that community, and it's really a growing community that is helping parents to do so much. So if you're a parent online presently and you're not on that community, I am highly recommending the community. Please join us and let's grow and raise the next generation of giants together. So thank you very much. I know it's been a whole week of awesome learning, all the way from Tuesday. For everyone that has been up online since Tuesday till now, I salute you. I salute your test for knowledge, and I know that you have learned so much, and I believe that as we begin to put it to use, all the things that we have been learning, our children will say thank you to us, in that they will turn out so well, and I believe that God will help us. So today, I'll be talking on raising children that thrive in academics, raising children that thrive academically. Can I have my slide on, please, so that I can... Can you see my slide?
All power is in your hands. Nothing is impossible. Somebody lift your hands with me. Say, this is the confidence. This is the just wave your hands to the doer of all things. Say, we know. You are a rewarder of those who diligently seek your face. All power is in your hands. And with you Listen.
Exactly 3 weeks ago, and it's such a blessing to recount a great wonder of God. 3 weeks ago, while we were on a 7 a.m. morning prayers, and just in between the prayers, I had a Spirit of God said to me that there is someone that is beside a dead woman. And then the Spirit of God begins to say to me, tell the person to increase the volume of the phone and place it right beside the dead woman. And as the testimony was eventually going to enter, and the person said that as soon as they heard that, meanwhile, few hours before the time, their mom had just been confirmed clinically dead. Clinically dead. The doctors had confirmed and they were lamenting. And it didn't make sense that in the middle of that kind of pain, that their sister was listening to a prayer going on the phone. But as soon as the word of knowledge came, she increased the volume and placed it right beside their mother. And the prayers were going on and on and on and on and on and on. And she said, Pastor, by the time you were done praying, and she said, we waited for my mom to come back to life. And she didn't come back to life. And it felt like her world was tumbling right down on her. And then she had questions on her mind. Was it true that God said? Could it be true that that wasn't God? Was it not my mom that God was talking about? And she felt God had really disappointed them. But people of God, 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later, Karuda Bashakadaya, Ali Barakaza. For the scripture says, how many of you will your children ask for bread and you will give them a stone? How many of you will your children ask for fish and you will give them a snake? The Bible says, and women receive their dead back to life. We are in a season of a revival of the strange acts of God. A revival of the strange acts of God. No longer what the people ask us, where is your God? While we were dealing with that, another woman brought in another testimony, and she said, before I joined the morning prayers, my husband had been operated on because
Okay. Sorry for the break in transmission. Apologies, a bit of technical glitch here and there. I'm glad to be back and glad to help everyone. Okay, so I will be talking on raising children who thrive academically. Can I have my first slide, please? My next slide. Okay, for this conversation today, I would like us to consider 5 major points. Now, I'd like to say that there's no one class that is able to cover up everything that needs to be said about a particular topic. So I'll be going from these 5 perspectives, and I believe that we'll learn a lot. We'll pick a few things that we can use to support our children as they go on their journey to academic excellence. So first one on my list is observation. Observation. The second one is learning styles, their temperament, environment, and love. My next slide. 1 minute. Okay, this slide says every child is unique. Now, in this slide, I'll be discussing observation. I know that we've heard from a lot of speakers from the beginning of the conference Tuesday, and I am sure that if there's anything that every speaker repeated, is the fact that we need to know our children. We need to know our children. There's no two way about it. We must know our children. And the truth is that for us to know anything, even ourselves, for us to grow on the journey of self-awareness, you have to observe yourself and be able to say, okay, this is how I function. So with the children also, we have to observe them. But when I say observe our children, what do I mean? The first thing to know is that every child is unique. No two children are the same. So with parenting, it's never a one size fits all. It's never a one size fits all. You have to observe each child, understand different things about each child, and with the knowledge of that observation, you begin to relate with each child. That way, you can give the best to each child and help each child to thrive. So, the first point is no two children are the same. But when I say observe, what are you meant to observe? First, observe how they learn. Observe how they learn. From the little things that they do every day, observe. When you give child A an instruction and you give child B an instruction, how do they respond? When child A is learning something, how? What works better for child A? What works better for child B? So you need to observe how they learn. We'll talk about more of how they learn as we go on with the slide. You also need to observe how they respond to correction, how they respond to instruction, so that you can know what strategy to use for each child. You also need to observe what makes them excited, because learning is easier when it is loved, when it is fun, when the child sees it as something interesting. So you need to observe what makes them excited, and then you need to observe what makes them shut down. What do I mean by that? What are the things that you do that that particular child will not be able to respond to you again, maybe for that period of time? So you need to observe all these things. Observation is key. I'm sure you have heard it from all the other speakers that have spoken from the beginning of this conference till now. So please, it's a very important part of the parenting generally for them to thrive on all sides, and particularly academically. For them to thrive, you must observe your children. You must know how each one operates. And with the knowledge of how each child operates and how each child thrives, you will be able to give the adequate support to help each child to thrive academically also. My next slide, please. This is not my next slide. My next slide. Okay, so you need to understand each child's learning style. What do I mean by learning styles? As educationists, we observe that children learn in different ways, and it's a knowledge that we use in the classroom to help the children thrive as they learn academically. So it's important that you know how your children learn in terms of their learning styles. You your there are some okay, so there are three major learning styles, but over the years, different experts have been able to expand this even beyond the ones I'm going to discuss today. However, the three major ones from which every other one has been able to come from is the visual learner, auditory learner, and kinesthetic learner. So, but so the visual learner is a child that learns with pictures. A child that learns with pictures, diagrams, films, anything that the child can see is what the child learns with. And there are a number of children that falls under this category. So if you from childhood, if you're observing your children from childhood and you notice that they are drawn to pictures, you need to continue to observe that child and see how that child thrives with that. Can I get a feedback to know if people can still hear me? Okay. So thank you. That was distracting is gone. Thank you, technical guys, for helping me out with that. Okay, so I believe we can flow better now. Okay, so I was discussing learning styles. It's important that you know your children's learning styles. And the three major learning styles are the visual learner, the auditory learner, and the kinesthetic learner. And I said that other experts over the years have been able to expand beyond these three. And that's why I have 6 here that I'm going to discuss. But all 6 will still come from the 3 major ones, which are the visual learner, the auditory learner, and the kinesthetic learner. Now, I said the visual learner learns with what they can see from the word visual. So this kind of children learn more with pictures, with diagrams, with handouts, flip charts, video lessons, and all. So when you observe your child and you realize that this particular child is more drawn to pictures, it's important that you are able to support that child using his preferred learning style. The other learning style to discuss is the auditory learner. So the auditory learners learn by what they hear from audio. Auditory is from the word audio. They learn better from what they hear. They take instructions easily, better than the visual learner. For the visual learner, you may need to write out instruction. So the visual learner would rather see, would rather read, would rather see pictures, while the auditory learner is fine with listening. The auditory learner is fine with listening. So with them, engage them more with listening, listening to audiobooks, listening to talks, podcasts, and things that they have to listen to. So while the visual learner says, show me, like the visual learner wants to see something, the auditory learner will say, tell me. As long as you tell them, they are fine. So there are children that learn more like that. So those kind of children thrive in an atmosphere where teachers do more talking than every other thing. While the visual learner would thrive where a teacher would show pictures, show diagrams, show videos, and so the visual learner says, show me. The auditory learner says, tell me. And the kinesthetic learner he will say, let me do. So the kinesthetic learner is an hands-on person that wants to touch, wants to. So if you have a child that's your remote control before you come back, the child has broken down everything, wants to see what is inside. That is a kinesthetic learner. So why am I saying this? It's important that as parents, you also know these things so that you know how to support your children. So if you are going to get books for a visual learner, you are looking for books that have pictures, books that have diagram. If you want to support a visual learner's understanding of a subject, for example, that is probably struggling with in school, or she's probably struggling with in school, you are getting materials that help that child to see. If you want to support an auditory learner, with something that he or she is struggling with, or something that you need he or she to learn, you are getting audio things, or you are teaching auditorily by yourself to support that child. If you want to support a kinesthetic learner, and this will show right from when they are young. So from when they are babies, you begin to observe, when this particular child sees pictures, is more excited, even though all children generally can be drawn to pictures. But you would see the visual learner more drawn to pictures. When something flashes on the screen, the visual learner is attracted, and his or her attention is taken. So when you're supporting the visual learner, you know the kind of resources that you need to get. Then when you're supporting the auditory learner, you also know the kind of resources that you need to get. Then when you're supporting the kinesthetic learner, the kinesthetic learner wants to do. The kinesthetic learner wants everything hands-on. So when you're supporting the kinesthetic learner, you are involving the child. Even when you teach, you get the child to do something based on what you have taught. So, or even when the child is struggling with something from school, you are getting the child to redo. So the visual learner says, show me. Once you can show enough materials to support that learner, the learner responds better. The auditory learner wants to hear. So once you can explain as explicitly as possible, you can break down, yes, for the auditory learner too, you need to break it down into points where the person can follow systematically, and then you are able to support that child better. Then for the kinesthetic learner, the kinesthetic learner must do. Now, I added social and solitary, also because some learners like to learn in groups. And that's where collaboration is important, and then conversations, brainstorming. Those are tips that can help a social learner. While a solitary learner, and a social learner can be visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. Then a solitary learner wants to be by herself or by himself and learn. Now, it's important that as parents, I know I've spoken very much like a teacher, but it's important that as parents, we know these things too, so that when our children need one support or the other, because you understand how that child learns, you can go all out, giving the best support that gives you quick results as you support that child, because it will reduce your struggle. It will also reduce the struggle of the child trying to get what you are trying to do. And the reason why you also should know this also is the reason for a child to thrive, let me go about it that way. The school has a really important role to play, but the parent also has a really important role to play. So if you know your child, you can give that support even at the school. So you can meet your child's teacher and say, I know my child. My child learns like this, like this, like this. If you can do this, you can get across to my child a lot better. So this is one of the reasons why it's important for you also to know this. As teachers, it's important that we observe our children also, and we're able to. And then it's also important that as teachers, we're able to make our lessons multidimensional, so that we can cater to almost everybody, if not everybody, almost every type of learner in our classroom. But as a parent, it's important that you also know, so that you can know how to support and you can give adequate support. Thank you. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, another thing that is also important to know is their temperaments. Like I said, one masterclass can't treat all these things in depthly, but I want to give you, I'm going to give you an idea of how to use this also. And I'd like parents to go and also read further about these things. Now, because when we say know your child, know your child, know your child, I'm trying to bring it down to what you should know about your child that can help you to give the proper support. So another important thing that you need to know about your child or your children is their temperament. Remember, we started from no two children are the same. So they come with different temperaments. They come with different learning styles. So there are four major temperaments. Yes, let me also mention this about the learning style. No child has just one learning style. It's often a combination of two or more. So you need to observe and then, but one is usually more predominant but, in each child. Same thing with the temperaments. There are four major temperaments. I can't deal with all this fully in this class, but I would advise that parents find out about what temperaments are. The book written by Tim and Beverly Lyon on why you act the way you do is a very important resource that everybody should have, because this helps you with your children, it helps you with yourself, it helps you with your partner, it helps you with your colleagues at work. When you understand people's temperament, you can deal with them according to knowledge. Okay, so there are four major. Okay, so what's a temperament? A temperament is a biological factor that a person has that makes that person to think, act, and behave in certain ways. Now, I'd like to say this also. The knowledge of temperament is not to box us. It's not for you to say, oh, my child is choleric, that's how he is. So I understand, so I let him know. The knowledge of temperament is to let you know what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. And then when you know their strengths and their weaknesses, you can support their strengths and help them overcome their weaknesses, especially when there are weaknesses that are fundamental. What do I mean by that? For example, a sanguine, one of the weaknesses of the sanguine is short attention span. There's nobody that will thrive with short attention span. So if you know that my child is sanguine and has short attention span, you know that there's extra work you need to give that child when it comes to helping that child to build a strong focus and the ability to follow through with task. Okay, so let me just give a quick description of each temperament. The choleric. The choleric is a strong temperament. The choleric is a very strong temperament. They are, I'll just give you a quick, just an overview of what you can see in your child, but this is not fully it. You need to study your children, observe, and you need to study this temperament as a parent also, so that you're not making the wrong conclusions when it comes to your children. So cholerics are strong-willed. They are natural leaders. They have keen interests. They are natural achievers. So with a choleric child, they are usually self-motivated. They're usually self-motivated. So a child that is choleric by temperament can decide that I want to achieve this, and with not so much pressure from you, can go ahead and achieve what she needs to achieve academically. Let me narrow it down to academics. So with a choleric child, all you need to do is majorly just set your expectations, get the child's buy-in. More often than not, the choleric will take up the challenge, be motivated by herself, get his or her work done without much stress from you. However, the choleric child, because they are so driven, they can be quite aggressive. So those are things that you probably need to help a choleric child to manage. They can be aggressive, they can be demanding. Those are things that you also need to help a choleric child to manage. But a choleric child, academically, once you set, these are the standards, this is my expectation, and get the child's buy-in, This is my expectation. What do you think? Oh, I buy into it. All you need to do is give the vision to the choleric child. The choleric child will most likely run, and then all you are doing is um, managing the child, because of their strong will. Sometimes when they are not buying into what you are saying, it takes a bit more to get them to do what they need to do. But oftentimes they are self-motivated. So if you have a child like that, but the way you will need to support this child that is choleric is because they are very self-driven and they want to get things done. When things don't go the way they have planned, it breaks them down more than it breaks any other temperament. So when a choleric child has fallen short, it's the best thing to do with a choleric child is to support the child. I understand that you have put in so much work. I understand this. It didn't turn out the way. It doesn't mean that it won't. It can't happen again. Try again and all. So you need to support a choleric child emotionally when things don't, when they fall short on their targets or their expectation. But usually when they buy into the vision of excelling academically, most choleric children are self-driven and they can get the job done. So you will not look at your child that is choleric and start comparing that child to sanguine. Let's talk about the sanguine. The sanguine is full of life. The sanguine is an average Mrs. Ibikunle. Full of life, full of fire. They enjoy people's company. We gist. We don't take things to heart so much. We forgive easily. The choleric, because the choleric is very driven and all, the choleric doesn't forgive as easily. But the sanguine forgives easily, very cheerful, very social. So the choleric would learn with discussions. Now the choleric, let me go back to the choleric a bit. Sorry, the choleric may be solitary because what he is very organized, but the sanguine is a social learner. So she will thrive with discussions. She will thrive with group activities and all. But and they will do excellently well also. But you would need to support, and the choleric too can be self-driven, but you would need to support the sanguine too can be self-driven, but you would need to support the sanguine with follow through. You may not need to do that with the choleric child. Why am I explaining this? Because the way you will deal with child A is different from the way you will deal with child B. So the sanguine can buy into in fact, oftentimes the sanguine buys into, okay, I want to achieve this and go with fire, but follow through to the end. So you may need to support your sanguine child with following through to the end of whatever it is they want to achieve academically. Then with your melancholy, the melancholy too is a very strong-willed child. They are deep thinkers. They are deep feelers. They are very thoughtful and often very reserved. But if they buy into becoming excellent academically also, they can follow through. But you also need a lot of emotional support for the melancholy, because for the melancholy child, if you are not ready to be there to find out what is going on with the child will just be scaling through. You'll be thinking everything is fine until you come to a point where you realize that things are not really fine. So with the melancholy, you also need to be there to support the child when it comes to so you need the kind of supports where you are finding out what is going on with the child emotionally, because we know that for a child to thrive academically, there has to be an emotional balance. There has to be in education we say the three domains of where the child needs to thrive. That's the cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor. So with the cognitive, we know when it comes to intelligence and the academic work, the child has to have the right support. When it comes to emotions, also the child has to have the right support. Then when it comes to the doing, the movement, the physical activities and all, the child also has to have the right support. So with the melancholic also, the melancholic can be self-driven, but you need to follow the melancholy emotionally, because they can be fearful and they will not say these things to you. So you need to have regular conversations with the melancholy to support the melancholic child academically. The choleric child, you need to share a vision, let her buy into the vision, and then just check in from time to time. With the sanguine, check in all the time. She buys into the vision, checking all the time to ensure that there's consistent work, there's consistent growth. Then with the phlegmatic, the phlegmatic is very easygoing. She doesn't want argument. She doesn't even want anything, any trouble from you. So the phlegmatic is very easygoing. She doesn't like trouble, doesn't like, but the phlegmatic can appear lazy in that they do things at their pace. And we know that to thrive academically, you will not always do things at your pace. So the phlegmatic may need a lot more support, but you must support the phlegmatic with love, with a bit of patience. But once the phlegmatic also knows that he doesn't want to get into trouble with you, more often than not, they get the things that they need to get done. I've spoken about the temperaments generally, because when you understand these things, we are going to come down to the nitty-gritty of the academics in the next slide. But I've just given this overview because when you understand these things, it will help you to now, per child, give the right support that helps them to thrive academically. Now, the next slide says we need to create a learning environment. So now we'll be talking more on the academic itself. Now, the first slide, we talked about what you should understand about the child, the way the child learns, and the temperament of the child. Please go back to this. Thank you. So here, we need to encourage the love of learning early. We need to encourage the love of learning early. We have heard if you are pregnant, it's a fantastic time to start. Is as in as early as that. So from pregnancy, read to your children in the womb, talk to your children in the womb. When you've given birth to them, let them love books early. Read to them. It's okay to still read to children before they go to bed, or at any time you can get to read to children, even to the age of 10. It's okay. It does a lot. So encourage the love of learning early. Let them read to them, surround them with books. Let there be books a lot around your children. It's very important. Let there be books around your children. If we've learned a lot about gadgets and helping the children to manage their gadgets and everything, when they have gadgets and we are monitoring and doing everything that Mr. Charles taught us last night, ensure that the content of their gadgets also has to do with academic content, so that you are surrounding them with that on time, and you are creating that environment for them on time, so that with that love from when they are young, they can continue to thrive. So encourage the love of learning early in all the different ways that you can. Surround them with books. When they have to use gadgets, make sure that there's academic content in it. Tell them stories of and tell them stories, give them biographies of people that have thrived from learning. And learning is not only school. As leaders also, we have to be lifelong learners. It's not only about going to school. So when we have children that generally love to learn, it's easy for them to continue to learn even as they grow old, and even as they become parents, and they're also mentoring their children to learn. So encourage the love of learning very early in the children. And I'd like to say this too. If don't say, "Oh, my own children are already in secondary school. How can I do this?" You can still do it. You can still do it. It is very, very possible to still do it. Have the right conversations. Have the still continue to surround them with books. It's very important. Sometimes we complain that the children are watching television forever and ever. Have we provided books for them to read as alternatives? Then when we are regulating, when you regulate your screen time, what alternative things you give them to engage themselves with when regulating screen time? I'm sure we learned about that yesterday also. So surround them with books, surround them with things that inspire them to learn, surround them with stories that also inspires them to learn. Then number two, as they're growing, have a space where the children study at home. Is very important. When a child comes back from school, the child should be able to say, "This is the space where I do my assignment." Have a space where they study at home. It doesn't have to be a whole room. Even if it's in your sitting room, carve out that little spot where when they sit there, they enter a certain mode that gets them to focus and get the work done. So have a space where they study at home is very important. Set clear expectations. I talked about this when I was talking about the temperament. Set clear expectations. How do you want them to do in school? What are your expectations of them? Children are natural pleasers. When they know what your expectations are, more often than not, they strive to achieve it. So set clear expectations and let them know that the expectations are not just your expectations. The expectations are for them, because there's a place of making your parent proud. There's also the place of making yourself proud. So sometimes it may not be just you setting expectations. Sometimes it may be you sitting down with them and saying, "This term, what do you want to achieve?" Write it down so that maybe when it comes from you, you know that this is your own goal and you can give in your best to bring it to actualize or achieve it. So let the expectations be clear. Let them share what their goals are with you. You share what your goals are with them. Let the expectations be clear so that as they go ahead in their academic journey, they know what they are aiming at. When they know what they are aiming at, it reduces their distractions. They know that, oh, I need to achieve this. Therefore, there are certain things I may not be able to continue to waste my time with. So set clear expectations is very important. Set it alongside with the children. Don't just throw an expectation at them. Set it alongside with them. Okay, so this is a new term. This is a new session. What is the expectation? What do you want to achieve? And at the end of the term, review the expectations. Encourage them where they have moved forward. Encourage them. Celebrate them when they have achieved. Encourage when it seems like they have not achieved as much. Encourage them and encourage them to do better as they continue on their journey to academic excellence. Set and establish routines and limit screen time. Yesterday we talked about regulating screen time, and Mr. Charles told us a lot of things that we can do. Establish a routine. I'm sure one of the things you've also heard in this conference from beginning is the fact that there has to be structure. There has to be structure. At the beginning of today's class, Coach Stella read one of the quotes that was discussed in one of the classes held earlier on, that a climbing plant will crawl without structure. So let's set a routine for our children. When they come back from school, what are the things that are expected? Let's help them to follow through with the things that are expected. When they and then of course screen time, because screen time is a major issue with parenting now. So have the rules for your screen time and let them be followed through. Then communicate with their teachers. is very important. Communicate with their teachers. I said earlier on, for a child to thrive, is the cooperation of is a triangle cooperation, and at the edges of the triangle is the teacher, the child, and the parents. All three of us have to cooperate. So have conversations with their teachers, support their teachers. An example of a support you can give their teacher is conversation on this is how my child thrive. Try this and this. And when the teachers also give you feedback, be objective, be open, and be sincere. Because it's very important. If your child is not achieving something at home and you are telling the school that the child is doing it, you are not helping the school to help your child. And if your child is doing something at home and in school we are not seeing it, and you cannot give that information, it also may not be the best support for your child. So for a child to thrive academically is a triangle relationship between the teacher, the child, and the parents. So let the teacher know the things that you know. When the teacher tells you the things that they also have observed, receive with open mind, be objective, observe also, so that with a good relationship with the school and the child, we can help the child to thrive academically. So when teachers give you feedback, oh, I notice your child is struggling this, and this. If you have tips that the teacher can use, please go ahead and say, oh, I've observed this and this myself at home. I've used this, it worked. You also use, and let's see how it works. It's always very helpful. That's fantastic relationship between the school, the child, and the parents is always very helpful. So parents, I am encouraging you, be open-minded, and be willing to give every support that your teachers need. Then encourage a growth mindset. What's a growth mindset? A growth mindset, which is what you need. When we were talking about temperament, and I said the reason why you need to know their temperament is when you observe their weaknesses, you can support them to outgrow some of those weaknesses. That is what a growth mindset does. So a fixed mindset says, this is how I am. I can't do better. But a growth mindset says, this is where I am, but I can do better. And then a growth mindset begins to say, what can I do to do better? So with your children, encourage a growth mindset. There is no dull child. There is no dull child. The only issue is, either as a teacher, the teacher has not discovered the best way to teach that child, or the parent has not observed the best way to support that child, which is why observing your child and knowing your child is very key. There is no dull child. There's a saying that says, if the children are not learning the way we are teaching, we should teach the way they need to learn. So it's really more about knowing the child and giving that mindset of no matter what the struggle you are having now as a child academically, you can overcome it. You can overcome it. So encourage a growth mindset in the children. Let us encourage a growth mindset in the children. No matter what it is overcomable. All we need to do is look for more ways to go around whatever it is that they need to learn, and eventually we'll find the best way to teach that child, which is why it's important to know their learning styles, which is why it's important to know their temperament. So if with a right knowledge of their learning style and their temperament and a mindset that says I can achieve anything, it may take me a bit more time than it may take child B a bit more time than it take child A because of the differences in their makeup. But child B also can achieve if we can find the best way to help a child B. So encourage a growth mindset in the child. We as parents too should have a growth mindset. There is nothing that is there's, like I said, there's no dull child. So you cannot give up on any child. So encourage a growth mindset. Let them know that no matter what it is, they can do better. There's always the largest room in the world is room for improvement. there's always room for improvement. Then celebrate achievements. It's very important. Celebrate achievements, because when achievement is celebrated, everybody thrive in an atmosphere of praise and encouragement. They would also want to do better, because it makes them happy also to achieve all the things that they need to achieve. So encourage a growth mindset in your child, encourage growth mindsets in your children, and celebrate their achievements. Next slide, please. Then finally, love is the ultimate key. Love is the ultimate key. Let them know that you love and believe in them no matter what. No matter what. I tell my teachers, children learn from people they love. When your child knows that, despite what they might be, what their level may be at that time, mommy and daddy loves me regardless, the children will push to thrive. The children will push to thrive. So let your children know, no matter where they are, whether they are high flyers presently, whether they are still on the journey to becoming high flyers, let them know. There's one thing our children should never doubt, is our love for them. And the love is not in over pampering. The love is in letting them know that no matter what it is, you are still the safe place. You are still their biggest fan. You are still their great supporter. And you are willing to hold their hands till they become better and the best of whatever it is that they want to achieve. So academically is important. No matter the results your child brings home, have the necessary conversation, have the necessary conversations that you need to have. Then find out what is it that may have contributed to them not achieving as much as you'd have wanted them to achieve, or as much as they have planned to achieve. Look at how to support them through that. But no, through all that process, they must be assured that you love them, because love is the ultimate key. They must be assured that you also believe in them. We all thrive when we know that the people around us love us and believe in us. So they must be assured of your love. They must be assured that you believe in them no matter what. And with that, they will keep giving their best to achieve academic excellence. Thank you. Last slide. You will succeed. Thank you. Questions?
Wow, amazing. If you have been here following, please can we see your love, your emoji? If you have gained anything from this session, please would love to see your comments, would like to see your emojis, and I would like to hear from you what you have learned from this session. She took us through a master class in 14, took us through a master certificate course in 45 minutes. That was the briefest of this I have ever had. Where someone is telling you life, learning style, temperament, and then how you can encourage your children to learn. Man, yeah, someone is giving you love kisses there. Thank you so much. You can see that. Okay, thank you. So if you have your questions, please begin to ask. Begin to ask. Drop your questions. She's the professional here. So please drop your questions so she can answer our questions. I picked a lot. In fact, I was writing. I didn't know when she said thank you. Because I haven't finished. The last thing she said was, we all thrive when we know that people around us love and believe in us. Every child will thrive when they know. She said, love is the ultimate key. Let them know that you love them and believe in them no matter what. I think this this statement is the magic wand of raising children. There's nothing as good as when a child knows that I am loved. I don't that's my parents believe in me no matter what I do. I think it's a magic wand in parenting. I like the part where she said something about she said something about she said it's a triangle with the parent, the child parent and the teacher. So whatever observation you have or whatever you know about your child, let the teacher know. And when the teacher raises an observation, it's not a time to fight. Sometimes parents just go on the defense. Sometimes I hail teachers for the many things they see. Sometimes I don't know, you just see a parent will just go on the defense instead of just being objective. This is my child that needs to be helped. So how will I help? How can my child be helped? So yes, I got that you have to establish a relationship, communicate with the teacher, communicate. You and your child's school should have regular communication and then offer support for your child in learning. It's okay. Somebody saying, thank you so much. I learned a lot from this session. Thank you, Ma, for your comments. Yes, more comments. Ask your questions. Ask your questions. So, for me, one of the questions I want to ask is about the kinesthetic learner. How well does our education sector here in Africa, especially in Africa, support kinesthetic learner if they have to do to learn? How does it work that a child doesn't just want to see the teacher writing figures on the board and crossing them and equaling them and multiplying? He wants to know how I can translate this thing you have written on the board, you have said, into practical, something I can see and do.
Yeah.
How do we help such children in this part of the world?
Yeah.
Because most
Well, okay. Well, education is evolving and is evolving very fast. And even though we are not there yet, we are also evolving. We are really evolving. So I know that most schools now have embraced training teachers on this, on learning styles and all now. And yes, parents can also do this. Like, for example, for my slogan at the school is learning is for living. Because as far as a child can learn something and the child cannot use what the child has learned, as far as I'm concerned, we wasted time. Because learning is for transformation, and transformation comes about from doing. So even at home, you can help the maths teacher. When you take your child to ShopRite, don't just pick and pay. Let the child pick. Let the child know the price for each one. This is mathematics. Let the child add up the price for these ones. When you bring out 5,000, let the child be able to say, I do this with my children from time to time. I just take them to the shop, especially maybe something they want to buy for school. They will pick. They will carry their pencil and paper. They will add it. So I will tell them, so if I give you 10,000 naira now, how much change will you give me? When we were growing up, it was very easy for our parents to say, because there was security, the insecurity is not as bad as now. Your parents can say, take, go to Malam, buy me things and come back. You come back with my correct change and everything. Now, to send your child to next door supermarket, your heart is beating. So when you go with the child, let the child do practically. Let that addition and subtraction that the child has learned in school, let the child do the addition and subtraction in that supermarket. Let the child pay. Let them give change. Let the child count the change and say it is complete based on my addition and my subtraction. You understand? Even with doing things in the house, put rice down, say cut half of that bowl of rice for me. You have learned half in school, right? Give me half of it. You understand? So even by the time we engage them in doing things at home with the mindset of these are things that you're also, and which is also one of the things I didn't mention, know what your child is learning in school. Know what your child is learning in school. That's very, very important. Know what your child is learning in school. How do you do that? One of the easiest way to do that is to check their homework. One of the easiest ways to know is to check their homework, because their homework is a reflection of what they are learning in school. So if you check their homework regularly, you have an idea of what they are learning. If you have an idea of what they are learning, you will now be able to translate it to getting them to do things around the house practically from the things that they are learning. Then, of course, at the school front, we are encouraging our teachers to make our lessons as hands-on as possible. We are doing our best to encourage our teachers. And I know that there is no school that knows about this that is not pushing and encouraging teachers to make lessons as hands-on as possible, to make lessons as collaborative as possible. Because when children learn in groups too, it does a lot for them. So to make their learnings as collaborative as possible, to make their learnings as hands-on as possible, as parents, it's important that we check the children's books, we know what they are learning, and from there we can practically get them to do things around the house that can reinforce what they are learning.
Thank you so much, Ma. Yeah, I believe this that there are a lot of things are revolving, that's true, and so many schools. But we wish that more schools,
School,
especially our
yeah.
government schools, will pay attention to this area of learning. That learning goes beyond just standing in front of the child, in front of a large class, and you're just speaking and then talking and then writing on the board. And then at the end of the day, the child just goes home. Some just do route learning,
Rote learning,
and
yeah.
they don't do la cram, la pour, and la pass. Without you can't translate what you have learned into anything. I remember one of the times, I think that was grade 5, when my son was learning something about one was something about matter. We almost went scavenging. We were looking for things, picking rubber, picking. There was we picked a whole lot of things just for him to. This is iron. This is rubber. This is
This
plastic.
is
This
different
is
materials.
aluminum. This is oxygen. This is nitrogen. This is sulfur. This is just so the child understand that beyond what we are saying, it's real.
It's
It's that
real, yes,
learning should
yes,
be tangible. Learning should
yes,
be tangible.
tangible.
Thank
I
you
agree.
so much, ma, for coming. Please, more questions. May I have my own questions? And I only ask the one that is bothering me because I saw a professional. If you want to consult her, it won't be free. Oh, so let's ask our questions. Somebody is saying, thank you so much for the insightful session. Thank you, Adenike, for inviting me. That's from Shine Natuga. All right, thank you so much, ma'am. So my next question, I think we started this conversation on the group, the conversation of double promotion and the conversation of parents not being patient to allow their genius children go through the process of learning. You are the professional. And also, this is a three-way question. And also, what do you have to say about schools that encourage this double promotion thing? A child is in pre-nursery, pre-primary. I don't know what it's called now. And you're double promoting that child to primary 2, or the child is in primary 1. You're double promoting the child to primary 3. My question is, that gap you want to leave, don't is there a harm? Is there anything
Definitely.
exact? So please, this conversation, double promotion, running to secondary school on time, not willing to, are we supposed to, please just talk about it? Double promotion, because it's double promotion, you just want to jump classes, and I don't know where would the wrong go.
Thank you. That statement is just succinct. I don't know where they wrong go because me, I don't follow them run. So honestly, I know that in recent years it's not even as popular as it was when we were growing up. The issue of double promotion, because learning goes from known to unknown, and there's a way the curriculum has been developed that takes the learning stage by stage. So the fact that you feel a child um, is genius, like you said, and the child is excelling in that class is no reason to let the child skip and create gaps that may cause that child to struggle. And a child that is shining in a present class is going to build confidence for the next stage of life, is going to get the maturity needed for the next stage of life than a child that you have moved and perhaps goes there to begin to struggle. The confidence will definitely drop. So it's better your child is somewhere. In fact, so what we do in education now, there's something called differentiated learning. If your child is striving, what I tell my teachers, children are they're categorized in different ways. Some use eye flyers, some use yes flyers, crawlers and walkers, right? So in every class you find the flyers, those children that in a little time the things you say they've captured on time and they've mastered on time. I tell my teachers, such a child, give an additional challenge so that you are not drawing that child back.
Yeah.
The crawler or the walker, that child that is not learning as fast, you can minimize the challenge, but make sure that the child is still learning the right content. Do you understand? You can go at a bit lower pace for that child so that the child also is. Then the child that is in the middle that seems to be going at the pace of the curriculum, carry the child at the pace of the curriculum. It's called differentiated learning. And I know that a lot of schools are doing that now. That's a lot better than making the child have gaps that may now cause the child to struggle as the child is going on. So please, as much as possible, I know it makes parents feel nice. My child got a double promotion. It makes parents feel nice. But honestly, the child may struggle. Some children scale through without struggling, but there's no point leaving that gap for that child to go and struggle. It's important that where the child is, as long as it's age appropriate, the class is age appropriate, let the child go at the child's pace. Then the teachers should do as much support with additional exercises for the eye flyers and helping the ones crawling to come up at their pace also. So when we learn differentiated learning in class as teachers and as schools, it helps to support such children better than you are needing to do a double promotion. Then the issue of running to secondary school, like you said, I don't know where they are running to. The system of education for Nigeria is 6 years for primary. It's experts that put that in place. And it's the same system almost all over the world. Ask all of them that are jackparing. After
Exactly.
they send them back
That's
to
true.
the original class when they travel abroad. And at that point, they are not, here it is because the regulations are not really strict. So if you as a school, parents can say, no, that's your own, you're saying. And you actually cannot use padlock to tie somebody's leg. But it's important for them to know that there's a reason. It allows the children to get that maturity. I say it. Secondary school children are the meanest children in the world. At that I'm seriously, at secondary school stage, they're even meaner than children in university. Because that's teenage years, they're trying to discover themselves, they are transitioning, hormones are raging. There's a lot of misbehavior that goes on. Bullying is more rampant, a lot of things. And the children are most of the times very mean to one another. It's not a time to go and throw your little child into such
Your
a,
baby.
yes, a mean world. And then the little confidence, and then you come and say the child, you now say her, but when she was in primary school, she used to come first. She now got here, she's 22. How will she not be 22? Because what she's facing here is not only academics. There are a lot of other developmental challenges that she needs to handle alongside the academics. Is she matured enough to do that? Is she built enough to do that? Or is he built enough to do that? When the education system says 6 years for primary school, there's a reason. So that by the time the child is going into secondary school, there's a level of self-esteem that has been built. There's you can argue that age doesn't bring maturity, but you really cannot remove age from the issue of
Age from
maturity.
maturity. Exactly.
There are some children that, yes, they may mature faster than their age in terms of their thinking capacity and everything, but on the average, it's not every. And you can't say based on cognitive excellence alone, a child should go. Because when a child enters secondary school, it's not dealing with only cognitive challenges. So it's important that parents, and if it's not that important, these schools abroad will not be insisting.
Yeah.
They won't be insisting. But because regulation around here is not as stiff, and then the schools that they are going to are receiving them, what do we say? But it's important that parents know. And what I tell my children, my older daughter, when she was going to go to year six, I had her teachers fighting me that she will cope. She's this one, she's matured. I said, let her do this year six. Then the issue of so she will now go and be in GS1 when her mates are in GSS2. I told my daughter, I said, see, this life is individual journey. You did not follow anybody to come there. You are not going to follow anybody to come. The fact that somebody finished, maybe all of us are here. The fact that somebody finished before you in secondary school didn't mean that they went to university before you. Abi? The fact that you enter university at the same time didn't mean you will finish at the same time. Do you understand? So it's a personal journey, which is also one of the things we need to teach our children early. That it's a personal journey. Your journey is your journey. Be the best at your journey for you.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that push parents to. So they will say, my neighbor, my daughter is older than her now, than her child now. Her child is now going to secondary school. You too, you will go. It's not anybody. You did not follow anybody to born that child, though. Even if you gave birth at the same time in the hospital, you still gave birth to your own, and your neighbor gave birth to her own. So each person's journey is individual. Parents need to understand that, and we need our children to understand it too. And that no matter what it is, whether the person was with you in primary school and now is in SS1, you're in GS3, doesn't make that person better than you. You understand what I'm trying to say? So is that self-confidence that we need to give our child? Is that our children? Is that self-esteem that we need to give our children? And they will thrive anywhere. Nobody has the clock for life. You run your journey. If you run it as best as you can, you will come out excelling.
Thank you so much, Ma, for saying this. You've said a lot in this. You see, I remember when my first son was to go to school, I really didn't want to take him to school, but at the time, I didn't want him around the environment where I was going to. So I just needed to put him somewhere. At 1 year, 4 months, his speech was clear, too clear for his age. That when he talks, people will ask, "How old is this child?" And when I say it's 1 year, 4 months, it was like you're not sure. So I took him to few schools for daycare, and they said no. They said we can't have him in our daycare. One that he was too, he came late. That they accept children in daycare when they are less than 1 year. That after 1 year he's going to bully the children. There were so many. I took to about 2 or 3 schools. So at the end of the day, one school accepted him into reception one. My whole idea is that He would be in that reception one for 2 years. By the end of that session, my son was promoted to the next class. So with the way they were going, my son was going to be in grade 1 by 4.
Ah,
Yes, I carry my child. Kia kia. I went to another school. By the time I got to the school and told them he has done one class, they started laughing at me. I looked like not here. They told me that he was going to be in a class for 2 years, in a particular class for 2 years. I was like, no, it won't happen. No. But thank God I met a woman that took her time to explain to me how the curriculum of that school worked. And I listened. That's even one thing I want to say to school owners. See, your front desk, put people that can explain things. Don't just put people you can pay cheap salary. That woman was able to explain to me how the curriculum runs in that school. And from that moment, I picked interest. All my children are in that school. And they spent 2 years in that particular class. So from that class, you move to the next class at 4. You go to grade 6 at grade 1 at 6.
okay, yeah.
Or 2 months or 3 months to
So
6.
So 6, yeah.
That's when you go to grade 1. Anything apart from that, don't come. They don't bend you. We've been there now for many years. They don't bend that rule. But now look at it. When you say your child is a genius, because that curriculum supports individualized learning. That's what it's called, an individualized
Yeah.
learning style. So your child is learning as an individual. So your child will be slowed down. And look at what happened from grade 1. My son was able to do more than half of the grade 2. In fact, he was in grade 1 and had finished 2 term work of grade 2. So before he got to grade 1, he had finished the work of, they call it learning to read class. He had finished his learning to read class and had started grade 1 work in that learning to read. So by the time he was finishing grade 1, he had done term 1, term 2 of grade 2 work. He was accelerated. So what they did was he had extra time. He didn't go on holiday when his mates did with other children like that. So they had to stay back and finish the term 2 work. Yes, the 3rd term work. And then he was accelerated. Now, no space was missed. That's what I'm trying to explain. There was no gap. So he went. I remember when my child was going to grade 6, Temitayo, it was like a fight. It was like a battle. Me and my husband had to fight everybody, including family. Why is he going to grade 6? Hey, why won't you go to grade? What is the problem with grade 6? Me that did not go to grade 6. How did my education life turn out? I was double promoted in grade 1. I didn't do grade 1. I went to grade 2. By grade 3, I repeated. Yes, I repeated.
Yeah,
Grade 3.
that's the issue.
And I did. You see, if I have recovered from that step I missed, it's when I now became aware that I need this education. Do you get? So I had to double. I can't tell the story of how messed up some of my results were, and how I had to go back to go sort out things I would have sorted out. And I'm still trying to.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to. Not yet done. So the fight was much. Hey, he's an intelligent because he's not my child. Do you get? We had to stand our feet, and then thank God for the school that encourages. Now, so many students left. In his own time, there were only 3 of them that did grade 3. Sorry, I did grade 6 before going to secondary school. But I saw that my child had matured. So I was wondering, so the original people he started school with now when he was grade 1 year and 4 months are in SS1. Now, you know my son. Imagine my son is in GS3 SS1, thereabouts. Imagine my son is in GSS3 SS1 at 11. Where are we running to? So you deny the child play. Because will you expect an 8-year-old child in GS1 or 9-year-old child in GS1 to be playing 10-10? It doesn't make sense. Do you get? So people expect some level of maturity. Please, we are waiting for your questions. Please. If you have a question, please post. We have about 12 12 minutes to end this session, thereabout. So please post your questions. Ask now. Okay, another thing I want to ask, please, what do we need to look out for when we are looking for schools for our children? What areas do you think we should pay attention, apart from the fact that I can afford it? Because I know that most times I can afford it is part of it, but what else can we look out for? Yes.
Okay. So yes, apart from I can afford this and logistics, that's another important one, so that parents don't struggle with drop off, pick up, and all. Major things that parents should look out for: the school curriculum. How does it work? Very important. How does it work? Can someone communicate major milestones that will be achieved um, at major points as the child um, is going in that school? So the school curriculum, what is the expected outcome when it comes to the child? The school vision is very important also. Because the school vision is what the school is about. You understand that it does this. What's the school's vision? Does the school understand the vision?
Exactly.
The teachers, do they understand the vision? So the school vision is very important. Then the school curriculum is important. When it comes to the environment, safety is very important. So when you enter into a school, when you're looking at the school's environment, neatness is important. Safety is important. What are the safety measures in place that so that your mind can be at rest? Then with the curriculum, what are the major milestones? What can you say that confidently when my child is leaving nursery, what my child will be able to do? When my child is leaving primary, what my child will be able to do? Will my child be able to compete relatively well with, colleagues outside in terms of the quality of knowledge that the child has acquired? Um, Morals also, especially in the world now where moral values is decaying very fast. So a school that has a lot of moral values to give your child is very important for your child. So what are your values as a person? Can that school support those values you want to give your child also? Then of course the academic aspects, academic excellence, moral values, and what is the school about? Can you buy into the vision of the school? That vision, the vision of that school, can it support what your personal vision for your child is?
Thank you very much, ma. Yes, yes, yes. I've gained a lot. I don't know about you, and I know that we are watching. Don't just send your children to schools just because you can afford it. You have to understand what the school stands for. You have to understand if your child will be able to learn in such schools, if the school will also support your child's learning style. Thank you so much, ma, for all you've done, all you've said. Yeah, let's talk about your book before we go. Tell us a little about the book. Although I have read the book, but just tell us a little about that book and how we can get it.
Oh, it's called If This Isn't Love, What Is? It's a fiction. I'm a storyteller. I like to tell stories. So it's a story of two young characters, Mandy the girl and the young man in her school. So it's a story that explores the theme of peer pressure, teenage crushes, and peer pressure, how to handle how, and the story actually gives practical tips to both parents and the teenagers or preteens on how to handle these issues. The book also has like a workbook part of it where parents can use the questions to discuss, because some of these like we do in ATQ. Some of these questions are actually tough, and a lot of times parents are shying, and parents cannot afford to shy because the level of what is even going on outside now. If we are
Friends
even
are
shying, if we are
crying.
shying from the barest minimum, what do we now do? Heavy ones are dropping. You understand? So that question,
Yeah.
there has it has like a workbook that that parents can use to walk through some of these questions that are difficult to handle with with their children with. So you can use those to start up conversations and then help the child. There are questions for the child, the teenager or preteen too. And we know that the issue of teenage crush is an everyday issue. We cannot shy away from it. And what are the skills that our children need to have to be able to handle it and scale through it and not at secondary school begin to do the wrong things and handle things wrongly. So the book tells a beautiful story of a boy that is woke, a very woke boy, running things, and a girl that has the right support from her parents, and a girl that talks gist with her mom, can say anything to her mom, and then how the girl likes the woke boy. It happens, and the woke boy likes her too. And then how they navigated it, and how our friends were like, "Oh, more that boy is want to," those kind of things. We went through it when we were in secondary school, and when we were teenagers too, and how she was able to overcome her friends, and she was able to stand her ground, and how the woke boy eventually found Jesus. That's another sweet part. How the woke boy found Jesus, and all. It's a really fantastic story. I think it's a story that everyone can learn from. Parents can learn from it when they read to help them navigate these things with their teenagers, because it's real and it's happening, whether you like it or not, whether you carry your eyes away from there or not, is happening. And it's better that they have those conversations with you than with their friends. It's better that they have those conversations with you than with Google.
Hmm.
Yeah, because Google is available. I remember once when my daughter said, "Mommy, what is a stripper?" I I flipped my, you blink first.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking now, oh, I'm talking a few years back. And then before
Hmm.
I finished thinking, she was like, "I bet I should ask Google." I said, "Don't ask Google, I will tell you." you
My
know,
God.
I will tell
Um,
you, I was just blinking. It wasn't like I did not plan to tell you. I just, blinked. Just let me put myself together. I will tell you. So there are conversations that they should have with us, because there are a lot of alternative ways of getting their answers now that will probably put them into more trouble. So the book is a very good resource for any child. It's available on Amazon. If you check for it on Amazon, it's available at Thriving Treasure Schools. That's where my school is in Gariki. If anyone works in, get a copy. Um, it's available on Amazon. It's available on Thriving Treasures. It's available on a phone call or a dial away. If you have my phone,
exactly. And you
number,
and you
phone call.
deliver worldwide.
Worldwide, do Amazon.
And
Abuja,
we
we can deliver. Yes,
out
yes.
of okay,
Abuja.
what within Nigeria now, you can deliver it to Lagos. You can deliver in Lagos, Port Harcourt,
Yes, I can
and
deliver in Lagos. I can actually deliver in Lagos. Port Harcourt,
okay,
right now. But I can deliver in Lagos, I can deliver in Abuja, and it's available on Amazon.
okay. All right, thank you so much, Ma. The worst thing you can think is to think that your child does not have another option where they can go and look for
Mm,
their answers.
mm.
It's not, they know.
They
They know
know.
where else they can get it. But by God's grace, they choose to give you the opportunity as the frontliner
Amen.
to just do this job. I remember we were discussing something just this holiday. My husband asked our first son a question, and he said, Dad, do you want me to tell you the truth or what you want to hear?
Or what you want to hear.
Yes. Straight on. Do you want me to tell you the truth or what you want to hear? But I was like, see, oh, this boy don't grow. Are you using me to learn English? Or you just but the message was well understood. So don't think your children don't. Sometimes these questions is even to confirm your stance sef, so that they will know how to whether to continue or to just leave this woman or leave this man. It's not in this, it's not near what we are saying. Do you get? So that's
Yeah.
the essence of knowledge. Please, I have read the book. I have myself. I have read that book. It's a book every parent must get. This long holiday, I will be reading it with my son. Yes, I'm that deliberate. We have had discussions on all of that. We have
Mm.
had
You
discussions.
went through the questions?
Yes, I
You
no,
went
I've
through the
not. I've not
questions?
read. Yes, I went for myself, but
Okay.
I will be reading it with him this holiday by God's grace. Please don't say how do I start. Start from where you are.
Mm.
It's important. It's a book you need to get really. If you have adolescents, you have teenagers, have children who are going through the puberty stage. It's a book you need. All right, once again, thank you so much, Ma, for coming. Please, your final words before we begin to draw the curtain for today. Yeah, this is a copy of the book. Turn it, turn it, turn it. Yeah, exactly. There's the book. So is an interesting book to read, I tell you. It's not something you start and you drop. You just want to flip,
Yeah.
flip, flip, flip until you see what happened to that guy. Oh my goodness. And then what happened to Mandy? Lovely Mandy,
Yeah.
really. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Lovely Mandy.
So
Thank
final
you.
words, Ma, before we take the final announcement and we close for this session.
Okay, so we've heard it. Let's be available for our children. Let's observe. The observation doesn't stop at any time. You keep, because as they are evolving, they'll be bringing in new things. So let's observe and be able to see when things are changing and be able to, give the necessary support. Love is ultimate. Let them know that you love them. Let them know that you believe in them. And let's keep learning as parents. Cindy Trim said the world we were born into no longer exists. So we are not raising children for our time. We are raising children for the future. We can't do that in ignorance. Let's keep learning. And I'd like to say, Coach Stella, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for all the quality content you have chunked out since Tuesday till now. And I'd also advise everybody, let's go back to YouTube. Let's subscribe to the channel and let's listen to all the classes again and again. God bless you. And we will all succeed in this our parenting journey. In Jesus' name. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Ma, for this. Thank you for your time once again. All right, everybody. The next session is in an hour, 4 minutes time. The final session. The final session for the No Conference. Yeah, someone is saying, can we get the name of the book? Can we get the name of the book?
If this isn't love, what is? If this isn't love, what is?
Right.
If this isn't love, what is? Hmm?
doctor. And then the husband was operated, and the husband was unconscious. And the doctor came and told her, I said, woman, we really tried to avoid the corridors, some sensitive corridors. He said, but we couldn't. And he said, I'm afraid to tell you, your husband will not recover for the next 6 months. That is, he will become conscious in the next 6 months. And he may never walk. He may never walk. He may never walk. And the woman replied, the doctor, what God cannot do does not exist. Ashabalita, Arabadusaya. And the woman, the doctor replied, the woman, Ashubara, you think I'm not making sense? The woman said, I didn't say that. What I am saying is, what God cannot do does not exist. And so the doctor goes to the brother.
All right, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for being a part of the evening session of this program. And we are looking forward to having you on the last session, which happens in an hour. The links have been dropped, and it will be a pleasure to have you join us for the very last session of the program. It will be a pleasure to have you for the very, very last session. I know we've all gained so much value. We've gained so much value. There's been so much to be said. There's so much to learn from all our programs. And the last topic of the last session is going to be the Episcopal Blessing by Reverend Oluwatosin Adekeye. All right, so we hope to have you then. And until then, we wish you the very best. All right, our host is here again. Let's have say her final words.
All right, thank you once again, everybody. Sorry for the network glitch that took me out. God bless you. Please, the last session is not something you should miss. Please, let's come back in an hour's time. 7 p.m. We're starting. For the topic is the topic is the informed parents, and then the Episcopal blessing. Please, let's not make. You can't leave this conference without going with the blessing. Now that you know, we go with the blessing. All right. So see you in an hour's time. God bless you. Bye bye.